What's good? It's your boy here to do another video basically on Mars signs, right? Mars coming through Taurus to be exact. This is the second video in the series. We're going to continue, right? I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I asked if you like the comment to like, subscribe. It helps me, you know what I mean, with continuation to grow. And yeah, thank you for your time, right? So Mars sign, right, when it comes into the sign of Taurus, we're going to elaborate a little more. First off, right, I told you guys before in the first video with Mars through Aries that Mars is known as the god of war in Roman mythology, basically. In your chart, right, it's going to show where you have conflict, strife, war, basically quarrels in terms of the house that it's in, which represents an area of life. Also, the sign can show what it's about as well, and the nature of where you have conflict and quarrels as well. It's also going to represent how you act, basically, right? Now, you want to compare multiple sides of your chart, basically, to find out information. So you would compare your Mars sign, in terms of your Mars and Taurus sign, with your Ascendant sign. These two areas, the Ascendant is basically the first house, right? And what's going on in the first house. Now, these two areas will basically tell you about how you act, basically, right? Because the first house is kind of like the mask that we wear, basically, when people first meet us. And again, the Mars sign deals with how we act. It really represents our actions, but keyword inside of actions is act. It represents your desires and also kind of like where you direct your energy. Now, it's also going to show us your anger and aggression, and it represents sexual expression too. Now, for sexual expression, you want to compare to know like how someone is when they're in the bedroom. Look at the Mars sign coming through Taurus, but also compare it with what's going on in your 8th house by the sign that's on the cusp and any planets in 8th house, right? As this can alter sexual expression, right? We have multiple sides to the way we express ourselves. In terms of in a woman's chart, right, Mars is also going to represent the ideal boyfriend archetype. Not necessarily always who she'll marry, like her husband, which would be seen by Jupiter, but who she's physically drawn to. What I like to do is I like to compare Mars and Taurus in terms of the sign, in terms of qualities, characteristics of what Taurus represents, and also the house that it's in. It's going to show for other sides of the ideal guy that she's physically drawn to. One thing I meant to say is that I've been telling everybody is that what I'm going to do is leave another video in this corner and also in the description with keywords for each zodiac sign. So what you do is I want you to look into the house that Mars is in, basically. And that house is going to correspond with the zodiac sign. If it's in the first house, this would be Aries. Second is Taurus. Third is Gemini. Fourth is Cancer. Fifth would be Leo. Sixth is Virgo. Seventh is Libra. Eighth is Scorpio. Ninth is Sagittarius. 10th is Capricorn. 11th is the Aquarius house. And Pisces would be 12. So you also want to compare the sign in terms of keywords, qualities with whatever house it's in, basically. Also, aspects of the Mars sign can show the relationship of any boyfriends or guys that she's physically drawn to as well. And again, I already told you that it talks about where you have conflict because Mars is the god of war, right? So let's go through what this means, right? Now, Mars in Taurus actually is in detriment, meaning that it's not comfortable. The reason being is because Mars is naturally home or in domicile to the signs of Aries, right, which is the first sign, and also home to the sign of Scorpio, right? Now, what's opposite of the sign Scorpio? The opposite sign of Scorpio is Taurus, right? Because Taurus is the sister sign or polarity to Scorpio. So, being that it's opposite of Scorpio, which is where it's home, and it's coming through Taurus, the opposite sign, is in detriment, basically, right? So this is the reason why it's not comfortable. Now, Mars is a very action-oriented planet, right? It wants to be impulsive and go, right? As it rules over Aries, the ram, right? It wants to go, that Mars energy. So when it's coming to Taurus, Taurus is a very slow-moving sign, right? So, in terms of how you act, this is going to make you move a bit slower in your actions, basically. Right, it can make you act very comfortable, right? It makes you act in a way that's very methodical, persevering, but slow to move. You know, that's just some characteristics, right? Again, I said compare that with your ascendant sign. In terms of your desires or where you direct your energy, when we think about the sign or constellation of Taurus, it represents money. It rules over money, security, finance, right? When we look on Wall Street, I've told you guys before, what do we see there? We see the charging bull on Wall Street, and Wall Street deals with finance, so they know that basically, right? Because of course in the Zodiac, the Zodiac, Taurus represents money. Now, you're going to desire these things. You're going to desire stability. You're going to desire to be financially secure, materially secure, or have your finances in order. Anger and aggression. I told you Taurus is a very slow moving energy, so a lot of times you'll find people with the Mars sign and Taurus, in terms of how they get angered basically, or deal with aggression, they're going to be slower basically to get angered, right? But it's the charging bull, so once they get going, it's no stopping that bull, once they get angry, they can really do some damage. Sexual expression is kind of the same thing, where you guys can move a bit more slower in this area. It's not really necessarily a rush, right? But Taurus is a very sensual type of sign, so it can deal with like the five senses basically. I'm a Taurus sun, so we like sensuality basically. We like rules over the physical touches, like that Venusian energy basically. They may like to be kind of like comfortable when they're having sex, or may like a routine partner. Venus is kind of like the love language, and how you are in relationships, but just off top, Mars and Taurus may like it to be kind of stable in this area, with who they're having sex with, as this fixed earth basically. In terms of ideal boyfriend archetypes, right? So now you're going to in a woman's chart, again, you're gonna have these same qualities. You need someone who's methodical, someone who is very much kind of patient, right? And you act in this manner too, but you need someone who's patient, maybe someone who's routine, or you like someone like that, maybe someone who's consistent basically. It could be someone who's about their business, they money, since that's what Taurus represents. Like I said, compare it with the house that it's in to kind of know more on the qualities and also aspects, right? Taurus can actually rule over, we said finances, but it can rule over the arts, as it's ruled by Venus. So it could be someone who's actually into the arts basically of any sort, even someone who's into gardening, because Taurus is a very earthy type of energy basically. Or you may be into this, right? Because again, this is kind of like your actions basically. Now, in terms of where you have conflict, right? The Mars sign is in the constellation of Taurus, which represents finance, security. You may find that you fight over, or to be secure and to be stable, you may find that you'll be the type that fights for your money, your possessions, your resources. You may find that you find conflict over that basically. So this is you're fighting to be stable, to secure things, right? Also look in the house, because the house is going to tell more in terms of where you have conflict at, right? But that's pretty much it, right, in terms of the Mars sign coming through Taurus. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it, and stay tuned, we got more videos coming soon. Holla at your boy.